Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Boardmasters with me, Chris Mullins, and tonight I am back with my crowdfunding backlog part 6, and I'm actually a little bit proud of myself that, well, as of tomorrow, it will have been 4 months since I did part 5, and there's only, 7 projects on here, a couple of which I haven't technically even backed yet. I'm just thinking about late pledging, so I'm definitely showing a bit of self control and learning a bit of restraint and hopefully keeping the FOMO away, but we'll see. But yeah, let's dive in. So, the first one we have on here is Fall of the Mountain King. Now, I also got In the Hall of the Mountain King as part of this campaign because it's not one I've been able to try yet. It's one I've been very interested in because if you follow the channel at all, you will know I got into the board game YouTube space primarily through Alex at Board Game Co. And In the Hall of the Mountain King is a game he regularly waxes lyrical about. So it's been very, very high on my retail wish list ever since I heard him mention it and speak about how much he loves it and the concept of the sort of polyamino style. Generally, well, with the 2 polyamino games I've got so far, it's Isle of Cats and Barren Park, which are obviously very cute and friendly and no conflict or anything really other than the competitive aspect between players. So having one where you're, I believe, orcs and things fighting and controlling areas, and it's just polyamino with an awful lot more going on at the same time. And then Fall of the Mountain King, I believe, was one of the games that Alex gave 5 out of 5, which obviously made it instantly more appealing to me. So I couldn't really resist. I had to go in, I had to back it, get both versions, and I think it was 189, 190 Canadian dollars for the 2. It's no more expensive than buying it at retail, really, for me. When you factor in the conversion from Canadian dollars to pounds, so it became a bit of a no-brainer, particularly with all the Kickstarter editions and the game trays. It had to be done, and I am very, very excited to get that one down the road. The next one I almost didn't include, really, because it's not really a game. It's obviously just an expansion. But again, as you know, if you follow the channel, Villagers by Sinister Fish at the moment is the only game that both Chris and I have given 10 out of 10 to. We absolutely adored it. And so an expansion that just gives us more of what we love is, again, a no-brainer. More suits, more interactions, more special villagers. There's just lots and lots of extra goodness, lots of replayability and everything added to the game. I especially like the extra founders because there's only a handful of different ones in the core box that you always kind of need to battle for at the beginning. So adding a few more varieties there definitely will help the game. But yeah, I guess that's kind of a little quick one just because it's just an expansion to a game that I've already featured many times and love an awful lot. And then we leave Kickstarter behind and we go into GameFound for the rest. And it's something actually that occurred to me whilst getting the list up for this video, that how much my backing habits have changed this year from Kickstarter to GameFound. And that's something I might do a video on next week because there's very, very little on Kickstarter that ever even appeals to me these days. But next we've got Legend Academy by Eldorado Games. So the concept of this is you're attending a prestigious institution where characters train to become tomorrow's legends, and it's competitive deck building, card crafting, worker placement, adventure game. So it just sounded, well, you can see through the first quote there, really unique. And that's exactly how I viewed it, really. Basically, you're going into these infamous legends like Robin Hood and Alice in Wonderland, and they've got expansions for Sherlock and Mulan and Arthur and things where you're these heroes as they go to an academy and learn to become the heroes that they become, basically. And I mean, the Dinosaur Lost World one has me very excited. As you may know, I love dinosaurs, and it just was a really interesting concept, to be quite honest, and it's not something I'd heard of before. I love the fact that the board and insert are kind of all together in a magnetic bundle, which will help with the setup and getting it to the table. And I mean, Little Red Riding Hood, Paul Bunyan, Alice. You've got these iconic characters that you're basically trying to nurture and develop and get them from, I guess, a novice, unheard of person, and develop them to the point where they're able to become a true hero. And I just love that side of developing characters. And it was a really, really cheap game, actually, as well. It's what, $69? And yeah, no brainer again, really. On to the next one. And we've got 11, the Football Manager board game, which I wasn't going to back, to be honest. Obviously, as you can see on the channel, I've got Super Club, and I didn't think I could really justify having 2 football managing board games in the collection. But this one, as I looked into it more, definitely seems to do what Super Club does, but also go to a whole new level in terms of added complexity. You've got the board of directors, you've got attacking and defensive positions as opposed to just this is your midfield. So it just adds a bit more to the game. I'm not going to be getting these expansions. I don't see the value of it at the moment, to be quite honest. But also, part of me, probably the silly part of me, couldn't help thinking, well, if I back it, then I can do season videos of this alongside Super Club, because Super Club at the moment is by far my most watched video content. And then I can do comparison videos and things as well, which hopefully will be quite popular with the viewership I've got at the moment. But it does look very, very deep and more expansive than Super Club as a first look. Obviously, the campaign has been far more successful. This one hit over €500, where I believe Super Club was around the 70,000-80,000 mark. So obviously they have a lot more funding, so they're able to do a lot more. But at the same time, it's a risk, because going from the campaign, they're changing rules and adding rules and amending rules. Then they're only adding the goalkeepers in due to suggestions as part of the campaign, which is a little bit of a worry that they don't have those bits nailed down. But it should be interesting to see when it comes out. And again, just getting the base game is relatively cheap as well, so I'm not going to lose too much on that. Going on to Kingdom Rush Elemental Uprising, which I haven't actually backed yet. This is the one that I'm very, very tempted to late pledge. I did back it in the campaign, then I cancelled it, because I actually watched the gameplay video with Board Game Co. and Quackalope, and it looked really, really dull to me, if I'm being quite honest. It wasn't anywhere near as fun as I kind of expected, with a polyamino tower defense. They're 2 mechanics that I really enjoy so far, especially when you add in a campaign. It was one that really instantly appealed to me, and then I watched the gameplay video, and it was basically a whole lot of placing squares to cover up icons, and that's basically it until you cover up a whole card, and then that card is dead and you move on to the next. And I think it's one of those games that maybe doesn't translate so well as a viewership thing. It's not such a fun game to watch because it doesn't have such a tremendous table presence. There wasn't really many minis going on or anything like that. And it was just, you cover up these squares, and when all the squares are covered, that horde is defeated. So I cancelled it. I wasn't interested. And then I started playing Great Wall, in which case, again, this game I backed because I love the theme. I love Awakened Realms. I didn't know too much about the gameplay. that actually has the same sort of, not necessarily polyaminos, but you're using your minis to cover up squares on a horde card to defeat the horde. And it's really fun. I really loved the playthrough I've done of Great Wall so far. Hoping to get that to the channel very soon. But it made me really go back and consider this. I don't think there's any value in going for both, to be quite honest, in terms of the Kingdom Pledge. I'm tempted because I'm tempted by everything. But I don't know if there's any value in getting the first Kingdom Rush and the sort of sequel, because there's an awful lot of content in both. So I'm hoping I will show a bit more restraint and just go for the Elements Horde Pledge and hopefully get that in Q2, well, late Q1, early Q2 next year. On to the next one, and Chronicles of Drunagor, Age of Darkness Apocalypse, which is one I've obviously featured on the channel so far. I talked about the expansion content and the minis, and whilst I'm hoping I will hold out, I did break on Monster Hunter World after declaring that I wouldn't be backing it. So I'm aiming to just go for the reprint of the original, because I still really don't like the idea of spending $95 on an expansion pack, which is then going to be a mix of minis and meeples, and only get the big giant meeples if I want to spend an awful lot of money, which I don't really want to do. I mean, I'm hesitant on backing at the moment because you can see on the side they're having some issues with the pledge manager, because it's $115 and I've already pledged $5 plus the bonus amount of $5, and instead of taking that down to 105, that's taken it up to 120. So there seems to be some confusion there. So I'll wait until that settles down before I actually decide whether to back or not. But it is very highly rated. It's campaign. It's got skills and abilities and upgrading and everything that I like in games so far. I just really don't like the hidden giant minis at an extra cost, forcing you to buy a sort of Meeples version. So I probably will just be going for the core game. But again, I may even withhold on that. The fact that I've put $5 in there on top of the bonus is the one thing that's probably going to sway me. And similar with this one, Divinus by Lucky Duck Games. This one I've just done the minimum to get the bonus pledge on there. And, you know, I really like Lucky Duck Games. I thoroughly enjoy Destinies. I really want to get Chronicles of Crime. And, you know, this looks like more of the same with a Roman god theme. That I love Roman mythology. There's a lot of content for a decent price. The minis, I'm sure, will be great because the Destinies ones look amazing as well. Oh, it's ancient Greece, not ancient Rome, forgive me. Athens and Greece and Italy are next door, so I wasn't too far out at least. And they do borrow a lot from each other, so hope you'll forgive me for that. But yeah, the Pantheon pledge, €139 plus shipping for a lot of gameplay isn't too bad. But at the same time, it is a very lightweight game, and I'm just not really sold on it for some reason. So at the moment, I am backing and planning to upgrade in the PM, but I'm just not 100% sure on that one. So this one may show up again in a later video where I talk about the fact that I didn't back it. Who knows? But again, as you can see from that video, I've got 3 that I've definitely backed, 1 expansion, and then 3 that I am tempted by, on the fence by, not 100% sure, which is very unlike me compared to the previous videos, the previous 5 in the series, where I've had 8, 9, 10 board games backed and bought within a couple of months of each other. Hopefully this run carries on. I know Lords of Ragnarok is coming to GameFound in the next month, and again, it's Awakened Realms. I'm going to want that game. And I don't have Lords of Hellas either, so I will probably be trying to back for both. Obviously, I've featured a lot of Too Many Bones on the channel, so that is going to be tempting. And I love the Total War PC games, so we'll see how appealing Total War Rome is going to be. But yeah, everything that appeals to me, as I mentioned earlier, at the moment is coming to GameFound and not coming to Kickstarter. So I'll probably look to speak about that next week. But that's it for this video. Thank you very much for joining me. Look after yourself, stay safe, and have a good one. Bye-bye now.